So this is kind of a joke or a pun. The escape key cast in like metal from a keyboard. I don't know how it worked. I didn't make it. I don't know. Escapism, escape artist. It's kind of a joke, or at least it's humorous to me, and I like The Ring because of this song by Sage Francis called "Escape Artist." The Buzzkill and Escape Artist were the first two Sage Francis songs I ever heard. They're off the album A Healthy Distrust, which came out in 2005. And I got them on a compilation album called Unsound, which I believe was distributed and created by... I just forgot. The Epitaph Records. Or they just had a compilation album of the different artists on their label, and there was, for one album cycle... Sage Francis was on their label. So they put that out there, and that's how I got into Sage Francis. But anyway, the song Escape Artist, I don't know, I just made into a pun at some point later on because I got a shirt of his. I bought some merch of his years ago, and it was just a green shirt and had like a white, like stick man kind of person like running, and there was like an arrow for the direction he was running in, and then there was like a white rectangle stood up vertically like a door, and it just said Escape Artist. And I really like that song. And at some point I turned it into a paint shirt. Like the shirt didn't fit anymore. And I remember I got my mom to like cut it out and sew it onto like just a white t-shirt. And it was a paint shirt for a while before that got too small. So yeah, I had this paint shirt anyway that said Escape Artist on it, and I thought that was funny. And then this ring... That's also just, I don't know. To me, whenever I think of it, I think of like, oh, like this is my art ring. It doesn't say anything about art. It says escape. But I think about like, oh, escape artist and funny, haha. But I wanted to talk about escapism today. But that was kind of what brought it up, is that I was like putting on jewelry this morning and I saw that and I was like, oh yeah, like I'm in the mood for that ring today. And it's something that very recently too, it's been a topic of discussion about escapism, and while I was setting up the camera for this video, I just realized what I really want to call it. Because part of me was thinking, during this conversation, I think I would like to change the wording, or like the term escaping or escapism. I would like to change it for something else. I want it to be something different that has a better connotation to it. Because escaping, we talk about it like escaping stress, right? Like that's a positive thing, unless that stress might be certain obligations that you cannot fulfill, or I mean, well, that too. But I mean, if there's certain obligations that you cannot get away from, right? Whether it be, family matters or work or yourself, I guess, in some ways. But if there's certain obligations you have that you can't necessarily get away from, and getting away from them is what you need to do to maintain some mental health balance, but then also trying to, again, balance how do you get away, how often, for how long, what does it mean, what do you do, are you productive when you're not there? It also might cause some more issues as well if you maybe need to escape too often, or you're quick to pull the trigger on saying that you need to escape and you need to get away from the situation rather than finding methods of coping with the situation. I mean, escaping a situation is sometimes a positive way of coping with the situation. Sometimes you're in a situation that's incredibly overwhelming that you shouldn't be in for a plethora of reasons. There might be that you're in it and you shouldn't be in it, and you shouldn't stay in that situation, and leaving it, exiting, escaping the situation is exactly what you should do, and it's probably the healthiest option. Other times, not so much. So, the funny thing is that, like I said, but while I was setting up the video, I thought of the term that I wanted to use, and I forgot it already. I hope I can find it again. Yeah, I hope I can find the term again. But that's the thing. There is this. I want to get away from using that word, because to me it becomes more negative than it is positive. With just thinking of, escaping, getting out. Again, getting out of a situation, escaping things are positive things. I guess escaping something should be something you do once. It should be something permanent. Escaping like an abusive relationship, that should be something. Yes, that's of course that's a positive thing. You don't need to work through every relationship. I mean, a friendship or a family relationship or a romantic one or whatever it is. Sometimes they are horrible, toxic relationships that need to be finished. Sometimes you can repair relationships and you can work on them and advance and grow and learn together and figure things out and strengthen relationships. Other times relationships need to be severed, and I believe you do need to escape those relationships. But I guess that's where I'm coming to with this term of escapism and the thought of escaping a situation, is that it should, I really feel like the term should be almost reserved for, or the way I'm going to think of it from now on, is something that's permanent. Like escaping a toxic or abusive relationship. That should be something that happens once, and that is a good thing. But you shouldn't be escaping certain aspects of relationships frequently. Man, I wish I could remember the word. It was like 2 minutes before I started recording. I was standing over there and this word just came to my mind, and it was like, yes, that's the word I want to replace escapism with when it comes to these things. Anyway, when it comes to I need to regroup, I need to temporarily step out here and give myself some time and space in order to come back in a better and more positive way. Figuring out a way to cope with the situation you're in is different than running away from the situation. I have a really hard time with running away from a situation. Not that I do it. I mean, I have a really hard time when other people do it. I understand the need sometimes when someone is overwhelmed that they need to temporarily maybe exit a conversation, for example, and, like I said, regroup, take some time and space, figure something out, and come back to that clearer, calmer, whatever. That's good for both parties a lot of the time when things get heated. And if even one of the parties can't maintain enough balance and control in how they're expressing themselves, then that's beneficial for both parties to a point. And then for one party or maybe both, it becomes detrimental. So I think that there is a there's a balance, is what I was getting to. That there is a balance of when to step away, for how long to step away for, and how often before it becomes a negative thing. And that this word that I completely forgot about was like my key into... I figured out the conversation before I started it. I got an answer. I came to a conclusion, or I came to a point that I was challenging myself with that made a lot of sense, and then I forgot it before the conversation started too. So this is unprecedented, but I'm going to pause the conversation, figure out what that word is, and then continue it. Nothing's clicking with me, having like a light bulb eureka moment, like, that's the word, but adjust, recalibrate, regulate. I'm going to go with regulate. I mean, they're all synonyms of each other, but once the word adjust came into my head, I was like, wait a second, I think it was something like that. I thought it was an R word, but I thought it was longer, and I don't know. But saying I need to regulate myself, I need some time and space to readjust, to recalibrate the situation, or myself, just again, to balance myself. I think that is a way more positive way to speak of what you need to do. And by using language, being a really important thing, I think it would help reframe exactly what you were doing in that time in a healthier way. Because Escaping the situation could just mean I need to leave it, and that's it. And once I leave it, I'm done. It's good. I'm great. And again, if you are leaving a situation permanently, then yes, that's probably, again, if you are in an abusive relationship or you are, I don't know, escaping the clutches of alcoholism or something, you know what I mean? Like, you leave it behind, and yes, that is the thing. That is the key sometimes. Sometimes it's not necessarily a you problem. But if you are sharing responsibility in some cases, if you're sharing responsibility for what is going on in the situation, and you need to escape the situation, or you feel like that's, you know, you want to leave the situation, I think that if you have some responsibility in why the situation is the way it is, what you really are needing to do is go find some balance. Adjust your expectations, adjust yourself to a point where you feel more whole and complete and at peace and calm, and regulate yourself, regulate your mood. Be comfortable, stable. Like, I'm just throwing out words that just might hit right. But I mean, I think that is really, again, when we use certain language, it could do certain things. Rather than being like, I need to get out of here, I need to leave this is not, like, whatever. Be like, I need to go and spend some time with myself. Like, I know that obviously when you're in a certain mode, but it's hard to say certain things in a certain way. But again, if you train yourself to even use a different word rather than I need to escape, and say I need to go find some balance, I think that puts the onus on you to come back to the situation clearer and better than you left it. Again, these are situations where you yourself might be partly responsible. So I think this is something that I would like to implement in my own life when I think of, like, no, I need to get away, like, I just can't. No, what I need to do is have some time and space, and yes, I'm leaving the situation right now, whatever is causing anxiety and stress, or at least aiding in anxiety and stress, and I need to go and have some time. It could only be 5 minutes, it could be a couple hours, to put myself in a position where I am reflecting on things and figuring out where maybe I went wrong, what I could do differently, or even just if I need to communicate with someone that, look, I don't like the way you're treating me, or the situation is not a good and healthy one, and there needs to be some changes for me to be able to be at my best. Then you can find a way to express that. Even if you aren't necessarily responsible for changing certain things, you are responsible somewhat for expressing that you need to make those, or those changes need to be made. Even if they're not you making the change, you're somewhat responsible, if you're wanting things to change, to communicate that effectively. So regulate, I guess. That sounds like a really cheap slogan. Don't escape, regulate. But I'll probably remember it better that way too. I mean, like I said, adjust comes to mind right away. You adjusting yourself to feel comfortable. And obviously feeling comfortable is the opposite of feeling stressed. So I think that's where I'm going to leave that. With that, we'll see you on another time.